Hey everybody, and welcome back to Lindsey's Little Library. So I'm here today because it is November, which means it's Nonfiction November. This is kind of a really great month that a lot of people take advantage of reading the nonfiction books that they have on their shelves. My nonfictions are stored on these two shelves down here. There's a whole lot that I haven't read, but I thought I would pick the ones that I have read that I would highly recommend for you to pick up in the month of November for Nonfiction November. Pretty decent variety as far as kind of themes within the nonfiction world. I feel like the nonfiction world can encompass so many different subgenres, maybe from self-help to historical situations to memoirs to autobiographies. I mean, there's just a world of exploring that can be done in the nonfiction genre. But here's where I've been, and here's the books I recommend. First one is Educated by Tara Westover. Really enjoyed this book. This is Tara's story of growing up pretty much off the grid with a family who lived a very unique life in the mountains of Idaho. She was homeschooled and ended up going to Harvard, right? I want to say that was right. No, Cambridge. Yeah, went to Harvard and to Cambridge. Very controversial life that she lived. Also a controversial book because maybe her brothers don't always remember it the same way she did, but this is her story and her journey. So I really enjoyed it. It was written in a way that keeps you entertained, which is how I like to read my nonfiction books. So highly recommend that one. Another one, if you're looking for some really good motivation, You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero is so fantastic. I listened to this book on my way to work every day and honestly I've done that now twice. I don't reread a lot of books, but this one is just a really great way. It just helps set yourself up for success. I even have a number of tabs in here of places that I like to reference, and it's all around finding the motivation to be the greatest possible self that you can be and to love yourself. So highly recommend this one. Loved it. Next one I have, this is all thanks to Krista. She sent all of us one year, I think, for book exchange, The Sun Does Shine by Anthony Ray Hinton. This is his story of how he found life from death row to freedom, how he wound up on death row, the process he took to prove his innocence, a very eye-opening experience into the judicial system, honestly, and how flawed it really is. But again, written in a way that's easy to digest and easy to read and easy to understand. And man, it sent me down a rabbit hole. Highly recommend that one. Another one, now this one, I don't know if I'd recommend to everybody, because it's a very heartbreaking book. This is Message from an Unknown Chinese Mother by Zinran. Zinran collected a number of stories of Chinese women who share their experience with having daughters and the very unfair positions that they're put in to make very unfair decisions. It was hard to read at times, yet I like books like this that show me places in the world where things aren't necessarily easy and fair, and sometimes from where I sit, it can go unnoticed. And so this definitely opens your eyes. It was really fantastic. Again, I read it in chunks, just a little bit at a time. I don't know why my bookmark is still in here. I must have just stuck it in there. Oh, it's a friend's one. But I'm really glad I read it. Really glad I read it. Next one, again, another emotional read is The Only Plane in the Sky by Garrett Graff. This is an oral history of 9/11. Another great read to listen to if you want to listen to it. I think I did both. But it goes through the events of 9/11 from the conversations between leaders, the conversations happening at the control towers, any sort of, it's an oral history. He interviewed a number of key players within that day. and really put together a great timeline of events from that day. And I think it's imperative for every American to read this book because, wow. But another can be emotional, especially since if you've lived through it, it can definitely be emotional. And then the last one I want to talk about is Tailspin by John Arbitraud. I believe that's his last name. I'll have it up here. I just finished this book for my book club as well as Nonfiction November. This is a story of a World War II machine gunner and his story. He fell out of the sky. He fell 4 miles out of the sky in the back half of his plane after it got blown apart, basically. And he lived to tell his story. He survived a POW camp. He survived a death ship. He survived a death march. He is such an inspiration, and he's from Wisconsin, and it was written really, really well and very entertaining. So highly, highly, highly recommend that one as well. But those are just a little pile of books, of nonfiction books that I think you should pick up this November. There's still plenty of time left to dive right in. I am hoping to get into the Mayflower. I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not. Fingers crossed. But yeah, if you have any suggestions for good nonfiction books, leave them below. Otherwise, like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.